This is Friday's awesome edition of CNN 10. I'm Carl Azus, welcoming everyone watching worldwide. India has the second highest human population in the world, but it's number one when it comes to tigers. It's home to about half the world's tigers. They typically live about 8 to 10 years in the wild, though all tiger subspecies are endangered. India doesn't have nearly as many as it used to, but their numbers are growing again, thanks in large part to conservation efforts. Here's what one of those efforts looks like.
When people report tiger attacks, they say, it came out of nowhere. It is staggering to think that there were tens of thousands of tigers in the forests of India. Now there's just over 2,200, something like that. Oh, that's very good. You're good. How are things going? How goes the fight?
It's been good. The numbers say there are 226 tigers in India in the wild.
Who else has seen a tiger? Wow.
Conflict has not really gone higher than the last few months.
Your real passion is saving tigers through conflict resolution. There's a very visceral fear of the tiger throughout much of India. So if one comes into a village, they're often killed. And you go into these places and try to talk people down, try to make them appreciate the value of a forest with wild tigers.
It's all about people and their code of conduct, because you can't get people out of the forest, you can't get animals out of these human-dominated forests.
This is the corridor that we've created.
You took me to this little farm you purchased between two tiger preserves, and it has turned into a wildlife superhighway.
When I show pictures that this is from my kitchen, I've shown that I have tigers walking here, and yeah, it freaks them out.
You're trying to convince your neighboring farmers that maybe you should stop farming and let your land go wild.
If you stop farming and if you let forests come back and get some economic benefits from ecotourism, it would be a win-win situation.
Staying in Hong Kong for our next story, more than 7 million people live there. Officially, it's a special administrative region of China and has one of the highest population densities on the planet. What helps keep it all organized and moving? Step aboard the MTR, the Mass Transit Railway. 9 lines around the city, a light rail system, an airport express line. The MTR moves almost 3.5 million people per weekday. But the people who keep it moving are largely unseen. Their work is done while most everyone else is asleep.
Did you ever wonder how they keep the subway trains moving? We're here on this maintenance car, and we're about to see how the Hong Kong Metro functions. Basically, these workers hard at work late at night, early in the morning, while everybody else in the city's sleeping. This crew is now cutting away a 60-meter-long stretch of the subway rail because it's worn away over the last 20 years about 15 millimeters. So the team is going to lift this up and replace it with a brand new stretch of rail. They can replace one of these 60-meter-long stretches of rail in just about 2.5 hours. And they have to move fast because the subway's only closed for a few hours in the early morning. The fascinating final step in the process. They have just forged a link between the old rail and the new to ensure that they fit snugly together and that the subway trains can glide smoothly down the tracks. And as they wrap up their work here, rush hour is rapidly approaching, and soon hundreds of thousands of people will be teeming through this subway station, beginning their own working day.
10-second trivia. Which of these automotive features is the oldest? Windshield wipers, automatic transmission, 3-point seatbelt, or rear view mirror? The window cleaning device, which was patented in 1903, is the oldest. Rear view mirrors weren't used until years later. Some of today's windshield wipers are fully automatic. Some of today's rear view mirrors have screens connected to backup cameras, and side view mirrors now feature lights for both turn signals and to indicate if there's a driver nearby. Auto braking, auto high beam control, autopilot, all examples of how automotive technology has come a long way since Mary Anderson's invention of the windshield wipers. And as that technology drives forward, so do the sounds it comes with to make us aware of the cars around us.
Alarms. There's the ones that wake you up in the morning, tell you you've got a message, that your lunch is ready, to close the fridge door, emails, phone calls, Skype calls, Facebook message, turbulence, Amber Alert. And one particular researcher has created this, an alarm to stand out from the crowd, an alarm to stop a head-on car collision. Her name is...
Carol Baldwin.
And she's...
I am the director of the Human Factors and Applied Cognition program at George Mason University.
So how do you go about creating one of the world's most annoying sounds?
We started out by going out and getting recordings of actual sounds that were in automobiles currently. Then we took those sounds back to the lab.
Once they collected the sounds, it was time to test on people. They created a system where the listener could
play a sound and then put it in a category
that the sound most represented. Either a low urgency, like a Facebook notification, a medium range urgency, like a check engine alert, and finally, a high level urgency, like an oncoming collision warning.
And then from there, we set up a series of driving simulator studies. And they're driving along and they're doing another task just to kind of give them a distraction component. And then suddenly, unexpectedly, the car that they're following would brake suddenly. And we looked at their collision avoidance response, the timing of that.
They created the perfect forward collision warning alarm. And this was really important because
we found that the sounds being used currently weren't perceived as being very urgent. You know, a poorly designed sound can be more dangerous than not having a warning at all.
So thanks for using the most annoying sound to keep us safe.
Dogma lives loudly within you, and that's of concern.
There's been a partisan political fight that needed a very bright legal foot soldier in the last decade. Brett Kavanaugh was probably there.
Like Justice Gorsuch, Judge Thapar made the list of 21 acceptable judges that far-right groups drew up and handed to President Trump. In Judge Thapar's view, the Constitution should protect a billionaire's right to dump unlimited sums of money into the political process to influence the outcome of elections.